Hi, my name's Nick. For the last few months, I've been building a lock system in 00 scale with real water and using Arduino to control servos, magnetic reed switches, and pumps for all the operations needed. Initially, I wanted to use pumps to propel the narrowboat, but this failed miserably in practice. So I looked at the other options, and that is of motorizing the boat itself. The presentation you're seeing now is what I've wanted to achieve in a real working model. So let's take a look at the boat. Here's the top view of the boat. Circled is the micromotor. Added a potentiometer to control speed. A rechargeable battery for power. A USB-C charging module. Two magnetic reed switches for the start-stop operation. And magnets to trigger the reed switches placed on the lock. The control panel has a series of button switches with LEDs for manual operation, also a reset button for the Arduino and an emergency stop which shuts everything down in an instant. The main board's main feature is an Arduino Mega with over 530 lines of code to operate the reed switches, the pumps, magnets, all strategically placed along the way of the canal, the lock and the turn-in reservoirs. The starting point is the right-hand reservoir. Circled is a 180-degree servo to turn the narrowboat in the cradle. Reed switch is here to activate the servo, and a float switch operating the top-up pump. The lock itself has 4 servos, one on each gate, to open and close those gates, with 4 reed switches to trigger them. Also in the bottom of the lock is a water connection, and that's connected to pumps to empty and fill the lock. Now to the left-hand reservoir, where again we have reed switches to trigger the turn-in servo, submersible pumps for filling and emptying the lock, as well as the top-up pump. So let's see it in action. Press the start button to start the sequence. See the magnet on the servo move away from the normally closed reed switch on the narrowboat to turn the motor on, and the boat starts its journey. In the lock at the high level, once in, the gates close behind and the lock starts to empty. To scale, this is a drop of 8 foot and 10 inches. When the lower level is reached, the gates open and the narrowboat continues its journey at the lower water level towards the left-hand turn-in reservoir. When the boat arrives, the front magnet triggers the reed switch in the reservoir and the boat turns 180 degrees and starts to make its way back towards the lock, front end first, because narrowboats aren't great at going backwards. Of course, this is all very much at the nuts and bolts stage. Now that I've got it working as I wanted to, then I can start thinking about working on tracks and then eventually onto the scenery. And I will post videos to show the progress of this. Steadily, the narrowboat enters the lock at the lower level. The gates close behind and the lock starts to fill back up the 8 foot 10-inch rise to the upper level canal. Once the boats reach the higher level, the gates then open and the narrowboat continues back to the right-hand reservoir to enter the orange cradle. With the servo and magnet back in position, the motor automatically turns off. At this point, the cradle turns 180 degrees and then the whole system sits idle until the start button is pushed again to begin the process once again. Well, I hope you've enjoyed that little presentation. I'm sorry it's a bit patchy in places, but I'm not very good at all this video stuff. But anyway, the nuts and bolts, it's all there. If you've got any questions, then ask away. Thank you very much. Cheers. Bye.